The state says that the very people and agencies in charge of enforcing the laws causing that harm aren't the right people to sue. But the state simply wants to avoid facing the truth in court, that these restrictions place ideology over healthcare, over individual rights, and over human dignity. But we know the law is on our side, and we know the science is on our side, and Minnesotans deserve their day in court. Thank you. I'm now pleased to introduce Shayla Walker, Vision Realization Advisor at Our Justice, which is one of the plaintiffs in this case.
Good afternoon. My name is Shayla Walker, and I'm the Vision Realization Advisor for Our Justice, a Minnesota reproductive justice organization who envisions a world free of reproductive oppression. Nothing less. Unfortunately, this vision is not a reality for many people in Minnesota, and specifically, it's Black citizens. Did you know that in the state of Minnesota, Black women are 2.8 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications? And our schools are segregated worse than they were in the 70s. And it doesn't end there. Minnesotans are faced with scores of restrictions and hurdles when they need to end a pregnancy. And despite the lip service anti-abortion forces might proclaim, we know that these restrictions are not about the health of the people who can get pregnant, nor about the future of the children. As a doula, I provide support to clients through their abortion process, and every day I see how the state has continued to fail folks accessing abortion care. Just last month, a young person had to delay her care by 2 weeks because the courts can only give her permission to make a time-sensitive decision on certain days. In the past, Our Justice had had to increase funding amounts to people seeking financial support for their abortions because pricing increases based on the length of a person's pregnancy, and they weren't able to get the abortion as early as they wanted. People who have had to reschedule their appointment many times because they were not able to receive a scientifically incorrect state-mandated call from the provider at least 24 hours prior to their appointment. Reasons for missing the calls vary from person to person. Sometimes a call is missed because their abusive partner is tracking their phone. Other times, they had to choose between paying for their phone bill or paying for their abortion. These are just a few examples of Minnesotans being negatively impacted by our state's abortion restrictions. And as we see day in and day out at Our Justice, our most vulnerable populations bear the brunt of these restrictions. Our Justice hopes that the court honors this opportunity to listen to the voices of the people most in need of support and let the case proceed. Thank you. Now I'm pleased to turn it over to Kelly Clement, Assistant Minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis.
Hello, I am Reverend Kelly Clement. I'm the Social Justice Minister at the First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. And it is my pleasure to be here today as a supporter and a community partner of the UnRestrict campaign and as representing as an organizational plaintiff to the lawsuit. In my career as a pastor, I have had the honor and privilege to be present with many individuals and couples who have experienced reproductive loss, whether that's an abortion or miscarriage or other kind of reproductive loss. Their mix of emotions is always complex and multiple, ranging from grief to relief and including a whole range of other emotions. That the state of Minnesota mandates the way that fetal tissue must be disposed of without regard to the religious belief of the individuals most intimately involved is an affront to the experience of those people. The First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis passionately affirms the religious freedom of every Minnesotan, and we are grateful for the strong religious freedom protections that are written in the Minnesota Constitution. We expect a favorable ruling today from Judge Gallagher in upholding the right of every Minnesotan to act in accordance with our conscience and to be unhampered from medically unnecessary state mandates. And we are delighted to join the other organizations in supporting this. Thank you so much to those of you who are out here who keep the faith, as it were. Really glad to be a part of this on a day, whether it's cold or warm. We Minnesotans know that we are warm at heart, and this is where we are called to be. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kristen Bretsky from the Billboard Project.
Abortion is health care.
Yes.
No bans here. Keep abortion safe and legal in Minnesota. It's their choice. And I'm more than just a womb. When we asked local Minnesota artists to create pro-choice billboards to be displayed around our state, these were the slogans that they created. Their opinions and thoughts were not unique. 70% of Minnesotans believe that the government has no place in deciding reproductive care. The restrictions that are currently facing Minnesota impact us all. They particularly impact people that are living in rural areas. There is only one clinic north of the Twin Cities currently available in Minnesota. People in greater Minnesota have to drive up to 6 hours each way to get to their appointment. Once they reach their appointment, they face a minimum 24-hour waiting period, and they also face medically unnecessary information provided by their doctor. Minnesotans deserve better. That's why, as pro-choice Minnesota, we need to be more than pro-choice. We need to be having these conversations with our representatives. We need to be having these conversations with our neighbors and friends so that they understand that our values do not match up with our laws. It's been a privilege to speak here today, and I'm honored to turn over the mic to Megan Peterson, Executive Director of Gender Justice.
Thank you. All right, we're happy to take questions if anyone has any.
Do you anticipate that no matter how today turns out, that this is a long legal road, that the losing party will probably appeal this to every avenue available? Should Minnesotans expect that this is a long fight?
So the question is, should Minnesotans expect that this is a long legal fight regardless of how today goes? And I'm going to let Pepis Rodriguez answer that question.
So the hearing today actually is quite early in terms of the lifespan of a legal challenge, and so we do expect a favorable ruling, after which, there will be more hearings, there will be more activity in the courts.
This seems like the type of issue, the type of case where it's appealed every step, given the issue involved.
That's certainly potentially possible. I mean, we don't understand. We don't know what the state will do, but that's certainly something that's further down the road. Getting any kind of final judgment or appeal or anything like that.
Is anyone up there surprised that the Attorney General is taking the stance he is, given his personal views on the issue?
Well, I can't speak to what exactly the Attorney General has in mind in terms of strategy, but as the Attorney General, that is his constitutional duty to defend the laws of the state.
You spoke to this a little bit, but can you explain why you feel that plaintiffs have standing to bring this case? Can you repeat the question? Yeah.
Sure, thank you. So if I heard you correctly, you wanted to know why the plaintiffs have standing to bring this lawsuit, is that correct? The plaintiffs here all have various reasons for being the right ones to bring this lawsuit or have standing. And essentially, they all have some kind of injury, some harm that is directly flowing from the challenged laws. They all have slightly different perspectives, be it a religious congregation, a support organization, or healthcare providers. But they are here asserting rights of themselves, of their patients, the people they serve, their congregants. And like I said, they all have some harm that they're suffering as a direct result of these laws. And that's why they have the right to be here today challenging these laws.
I anticipate we'll hear today that this issue ought to be brought to the legislature, not the courts. Will one of you have a response to that?
So I think as part of the UnRestrict campaign, that's certainly something well within our sights to be expanding the places where we take this fight. But as far as bringing a lawsuit, the fact is that these laws are unconstitutional and they are harming all Minnesotans. And regardless of what happens in the legislature afterward, these plaintiffs have every right to be in here bringing this lawsuit.
Is there another state where an approach like this has been taken?
So the question is if there are other states where an approach like this has been taken and been successful. And I'm sorry, I would ask if you could clarify what you mean by an approach like this.
Well, typically, we see a lot of legal fights to laws that were passed to restrict like one-off. This is kind of taking on the entire structure.
Sure. So attacking a scheme of restrictions as opposed to just one law. We have the Lawyering Project has a couple other challenges like this in various other states, yeah, the idea is really to not look at just one or two laws that may be restricting access, but to really look at how an entire scheme operates in whole to harm all the people of that state. What exactly which laws exactly we challenge may differ because every state is a little bit different, but this is, although a relatively new strategy, it's not completely unique.
And where are those other places? What stage are those at?
So we have challenges in Indiana as well as in Texas. Those are also relatively early in the lifespan of those cases, though further along than this one. And a key difference there is that those cases are brought in federal court under federal law. What's unique about Minnesota is that the Minnesota Constitution protects the right to an abortion at an even higher legal standard than the one under federal law. And so because of that, we are bringing this challenge in state court under the state constitution.
All right, if there are no other questions, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for coming, and please stick around so you can get a good picture with everyone. Thanks.